Hi, this is Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're going for a drive and a chat. So today I had a couple of incidents that happened. I was going to one of my favorite restaurants, and I kind of ran into some clients and kind of had a chance to kind of talk about things. And I think that's kind of the really cool part, is that God kind of puts those people in front of you that you really need to talk to, or really have to talk to you for some reason. And I think that's kind of the blessing, is that it just kind of happens in a cool sort of way, that wasn't trying to do anything, wasn't trying to connect with anybody, just going to my favorite restaurant to have a little sushi for lunch. And yep, I ran into him and was kind of like talked for a while and just had like a great conversation. And I think that's kind of the special part about just having those coincidences happening in our life. Kind of the fun, cool part is having a coincidence that happens in your life that you're ready to have. She apparently required to talk to me for a little bit. I was able to clear some air on some issues that they were having and that sort of thing. So that was kind of the fun, cool part. That is always a blessing in disguise, not only for me, but for them as well. And I think that's always a special part. And then after that, I was chatting with another client. She had a question, and so we were kind of just chatting back and forth about some questions that she had. And we were talking about her grandmother, kind of like, she went this last week and visited with her grandmother, and kind of like getting some family stories, because I think that is absolutely the saddest thing in my family, is that when my grandparents passed, all of that knowledge is gone. Where did the family before her come from? Where were they, where did they live? What did they do? Kind of the fun part, like what country are they from? Where, all of those things, like all that kind of crazy coincidences of like being able to talk to your grandmother. And I think it's totally cool that her grandmother was born in the 1800s. Now, my grandmother was born in the 1800s, right at the tail end, but she's already passed. And so like that history is gone, and I'm jealous in a good way. I'm jealous because she's taking advantage of hearing those stories from her grandmother about her family and kind of getting that history, because so many times, like I said, that history is lost when that older generation passes. Like, some people have some of the knowledge, but they don't have all of the knowledge. And that's kind of the sad part for so many people, is to lose that that connection. And I think that's something that has become really apparent in the last couple of years, with people getting COVID, and a lot of them kind of, they're older, and some of them already had health issues, but then now they're all gone, and it's like the family's kind of like, we don't know how to make Mom's Thanksgiving turkey, or we don't know how to make the perfect stuffing like she did, or whatever it is. And so a lot of families are dealing with that this year, or even last year, of like, this is our first year without fill in the blank. This is our first year without dad or mom or aunts or uncles or grandma or grandpa or great uncles or whatever it is. And that's the sad part of all of this, is having that connection gone and not being able to kind of get those stories back. Because I remember my grandmother telling me stories when I was a kid, and I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember the stories or parts of them, but I don't remember all of them. Or sometimes it was like, was that 1870? Or was that, 1970 or whatever else? And that's kind of the sad part, is when they're gone, you miss that connection. You miss that total connection with that side of the family, with the history. And a lot of times when the senior matriarch or patriarch passes, it kind of dissolves the family. That's what happened to my family, is when my grandmother passed, my mom's mom, kind of like the rest of the family, kind of dispersed in different areas. And it's not horrible. It's one of those, I know how to get in touch with some of them, but it's like no one's bringing the family back together. My grandmother was always that person that kind of like the glue that got everybody stuck together. And that's the sad part, is when they're gone. And so many people are dealing with that now. Like my grandmother passed like 29 years ago. And there was no one else in the family to kind of stand up and take that energy on, or to kind of lead the family in that way. So that's kind of the sad part for me, and I know it's a sad part for a lot of other people as well, is that they're, saying like that connection to the past, that connection to, like the other family members, or where did so-and-so grow up, or where did this happen, or all that kind of stuff. Like I remember some of the stories, but I definitely do not remember all of them. And that's kind of, I don't want to get on the grass. I'll get in trouble. So that's kind of the interesting, hard part, is to have, lose that connection with other family members. And, my kids, really didn't grow up with, their cousins a lot around, or other people. And that's not necessarily a horrible thing, but there wasn't anybody really to kind of bring the family back together. So that's kind of my ramblings for today, and I know we'll be talking again soon. Y'all have a great day.